Okay, welcome back to SpursVideo.com. Today we're talking about the Spurs Game 5 loss at New Orleans. And so the trend continues. The Spurs cannot beat the Hornets in New Orleans and fall apart in the third quarter after a competitive first half. Um, I didn't want to really look at the box score after this game. There's really not too much the box score is going to tell me that I didn't already know, in that I think this loss falls on the shoulders of Tim Duncan and to a lesser extent Gregg Popovich. Before I get into Tim Duncan, I wanted to get into Gregg Popovich. Um, I'm not sure exactly why he was arguing about the double delay of game warning so vehemently, considering it wasn't going to play a huge factor in the game, and all it did was basically he just ripped into Joey Crawford, which I'm not a fan of Joey Crawford, but I thought it was uncalled for, and it was just it was really uncalled for, really actually rude. I know that's not really something you think about in today's NBA, but the way he got in his face and the way he yelled at him and acted like such a big deal of it when he was arguing a double delay of game warning on a lane violation. Come on, Gregg Popovich. Um, that just it wasn't needed, and it made him look stupid. After I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a really big deal at first. I actually thought he was arguing that the Hornets had a previous um, delay of game warning and they should have been hit with a technical, um, because I thought David West had punched the ball out of bounds and got a delay of game warning. But either way, it was excessive, and it really made Gregg Popovich look bad. Um, on to Duncan. Um, the guy's come back strong after I thought he was, not going to, and he's had some good games, but for someone that's supposed to be legendary, good game coming back from a bad game with a good game isn't good enough. You need to bring it every night, and with Duncan, it really it has little to do with his physical well-being. Um, you know, um, the rumor is he was sick on game one, so be it. But you don't get to have excuses every game. You can't just say, "Oh, he had a bad game." This is the playoffs, and this is where superstars are supposed to rise. It was a game five, crucial game. I believe the Hornets are going to go on to win the series because of this game. And Duncan wasn't a no-show. I mean, 23 rebounds. That's huge, but you've got to have the points to go along with it, especially when your team is struggling to score. And Duncan, I think he was 5 of 18, and then meanwhile, you have the young superstar David West. I think he scored 36 on the Spurs, with great field goal efficiency, and so he was carrying his team while Duncan was, looking to draw some fouls and looking towards the refs, and just in the playoffs. I don't want teams to get those fouls. I'm glad the referees didn't call those fouls, because they don't need to be called. Tim Duncan doesn't need to be getting foul calls where he throws his arms into the defender and wants the foul. That's not playoff basketball. Playoff basketball is the best player wins, not the player that can, draw the most fouls, or um, make it look like he's getting hit when he's not. That's weak, and Tim Duncan needs to bring it a lot harder than that, and he has. And it's just really discouraging, um, for any type of basketball fan to watch an effort like that by the Spurs. There was no reason for them to get blown out in that game. Um, you know, no matter how well the Hornets played, the Hornets did play great, and the Hornets are the better team, and they showed it tonight. But there's still, in a game five like that, where the Spurs have stormed back and tied it 2-2. There's really no reason to get blown out like that, and especially in the third quarter when the Spurs are well aware from the first two games that they did not match up in the third quarter and that they needed to try harder. So it was just really disappointing by the Spurs. It was a frustrating game to watch as someone that was pulling for the Spurs, because um, you know, it, basically just boiled down to Tim Duncan, and I thought Tony Parker and Manu, they tried, but today the shots weren't falling, and that's what it's all about, is the shots falling. But today they weren't, and they needed to go inside, and they needed to get some work off of Tim, and Tim just he's a mentally weak player. I don't know what it is with his psychology degree, but the guy psychs himself out. You can see it at the free throw line, and Spurs fans, you can't convince them. The guy, it's okay, Spurs fans. If he plays bad, it's okay to say he plays bad. They're loyal as a dog, Spurs fans are, but sometimes they fail to realize, the guy just didn't play well, and there's something wrong there. When a superstar continually just doesn't play like a superstar, is he a superstar anymore? And I don't think Duncan is. I don't think he's been for maybe 1 or 2 years, because last year Tony Parker was the Finals MVP, and quietly, Duncan wasn't really needed because the Cavs really aren't a good basketball team. But he didn't play. Duncan didn't play especially that well. So that's my take on the game. Really don't want to get into any further into it because there's no need. Gregg Popovich didn't make any. There was no change in the way the team came out in the third quarter, and that's especially disappointing. And I thought Gregg Popovich put in Jock Vaughn and the give up troops a little too early. It's a little late in the season to be making statements here with the team. But likely it didn't matter because it didn't look like the Spurs were going to make any type of run, even with Tyson Chandler out. So with that, I want to move to other areas of the NBA. I want to talk about a little bit about the Knicks hiring of Mike D'Antoni. I don't like that hiring, and not because I didn't think Isaiah was horrible, because he was, but just because D'Antoni's not the kind of guy you want to build your coaching staff around. The reason he had a good record was because he was the coach of the Suns, one of the most talented teams in the NBA. Mike D'Antoni just, if you ever listen to him, he doesn't really talk too much basketball. He talks a lot about yelling at the team, telling them to play good defense, but you can just look at the guy. He doesn't have a good personality, and he's not going to be the fit for the Knicks. No one's going to be the fit for the Knicks. I think you've got to. If I was the Knicks, I would have brought in Avery Johnson. They need a general. They need someone that's really going to give them direction, and because that team's going nowhere. And D'Antoni, if Larry Brown didn't help cause anything to go positive, D'Antoni's not. D'Antoni's gonna be fired in 1 or 2 years. It's gonna be another hell. So forget about it. The Knicks, they suck, and they're not gonna do anything with D'Antoni. So I'm not sure why they're paying him big money. It's just a horrible franchise, and they've got no pride. It's just a horrible franchise. I wish they would have got a different head coach, and they need to just overhaul this organization. I'm not sure what Donnie Walsh is going to do. Look where he got the Pacers. But and then they kept Isaiah Thomas for some unknown reason. I'm not sure why, but it's a loser organization, and they're going to stay that way. A lot of people have contributed to that, but this head coaching move, proves that they still don't know what the hell they're doing. And as far as D'Antoni tricking Jerry Reinsdorf, I think it is, what do you expect, Jerry Reinsdorf? It's Mike D'Antoni, look at the way the guy acts. He handles himself like a jackass. So what did you expect, I'm surprised, I'm not sure why teams want him. I know he's a quote-unquote high profile, but as soon as he goes to a team without Amari Stoudemire and Steve Nash, he's just going to be another coach. And I see him just about out of time, so with that, we're gonna move on to Game 6. So I'm predicting the Spurs, but once it goes back to the Hive, I'm predicting the Hornets. This is SpursVideo.com. We'll see you later.